I've done a monthly talk on brain development and deflective development, behavioral learning, socialization challenges once a month somewhere in our office, at the library, at a juice bar, somewhere. There's always a talk, minus like a few Decembers and Julys here and there.
Right. Once a month for
Once a
16
month.
years.
Yep.
Okay. So how have you, because I'm assuming that you've not been dipped in gold. And so you've had ones that have flopped.
Oh my gosh. The amount of times I've spoken to
Like,
one person
yeah,
or zero people.
I prefer 0 over 2.
Oh,
Well, 2 I can
no.
take. I prefer 0 over 1. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh God.
One is awkward. One
Like,
is
well, should
awkward.
I just sit? Should I still use the
Yep.
PowerPoint?
I've definitely done that where I've been like, okay, well, instead of doing my PowerPoint to one person, I'm going to talk with this person and I'm going to make my case and still hit my, what I call communication pegs in this conversation and see, all right, what is it that you came here to learn? And so that's what I've done in those cases. I've definitely had, many times where nobody came. I've definitely had many, many times where I've had standing room only. And I got to tell you, even to this day, now our team members, our team doctors do the community lectures. And I don't do them unless it's like, I'll do like special ones, like I'll do one on reading or on, kind of the more complex topics that I just really love, but I'm do more teaching to doctors now. And our doctors are doing amazing. I teach our doctors in the Folks Academy to do the community lecture that I have done and perfected over all these years. And that's what our doctors do. But I like to talk about some of the maybe a little more complex topics, but the same, but still bringing people the same information. But the thing is that I got so much experience talking. Like sometimes if people wouldn't sign up for the lecture or show up, I would give the lecture to my staff, or I would give it to like my 1CA and I would practice saying it. And I would practice my communication pegs and I would practice, like my tonality and I would just learn. And so you have to just be committed to doing that through the awkwardness of it all. And some of the best lectures to this day are the ones that actually are not standing room only. The ones that are like 5 people and like all 5 people are like become long-term patients or are like that changed my life. And so I've learned to just show up and do it the same, which is hard, but it is important.
I feel like, so we had almost a monthly, but like we would kind of like change topic, but like typically we would have 6 to 8 events a year where I was speaking. One, it built great CAs because your CAs just like, they learned this product that we're selling. And then the pandemic hit and it was this awesome excuse to stop. Like, and I feel like 2020 was when social media kind of was coming out of it. It's like there was this period of time where it's like, holy cow, social media is awesome for marketing. And now I feel like, so then like there was this like, all right, community lectures, nobody wants to come. And I want to break from doing them. And so we took that break and I'm struggling to get back. Like our whole clinic is struggling to get back on the damn horse. And even when we have, it's like pulling teeth to get the community to like do anything because people are so busy. Holy shit. Like I love talking to you because you've been in practice. Like your experience is the same as mine. Is like, it wasn't so hard to get people to come to something before. Right. So like
people are super impulsive and short-sighted and stressed. This is one of the things I talk about a lot is understanding the stress neurology and how it impacts people's learning and engagement and connectedness and their reactiveness and what they say and how you have to schedule them and how you have to talk to them and what, all of those things. And you nailed it. You have to have choice. You have to have options. So one of the things that we did in the pandemic is like everyone else, we did it in the Focus Academy and we did it in our practice is, we started playing with like different ideas of not just taking the same lecture and making it virtual. We tried that. And it was like, at some points it was like good, at some points it wasn't. And so, but we still did it because we're like, we have to do something every month. And I'll tell you why I think that every month is important. Besides learning, growing yourself and your skills and your team, you're right. And having that place for people to come and get the information. It's also, it's about that other, you develop these relationships. It's like this funnel. It's like we have all of these funnels going for how we're getting our message out, right? And one of those things, for example, is making these collaborative partnerships and relationships with other providers in town. And that's actually a lot easier than you think to do as well. And we do it kind of wrong. One, I think that historically in our profession, we talk a lot about, or we have this philosophy of like, it's us versus them. And so then we go into trying to create these relationships of like us versus them, even if it's just energetic, us versus them. It's like
Mhm.
we come from this place of us versus them, as opposed to there's a time and a place for us and them, and there's a time and a place for us or them, and that's okay. And we don't have to make people feel like they have to, if they come to us, they have to choose to be fully in our paradigm or fully in their paradigm. There's a time and a place, and most people live somewhere in between the paradigms, right? And if we want to help more people, I think it's important. We don't have to shift to that paradigm, but we do need to respect it and understand it and create an us and them environment, right?
Mhm.
And that sets the stage for our understanding, our communication, and our energy when it comes to creating relationships and rapport with patients, and also relationships and rapport with other providers so they feel safe sending people to us, even if they don't totally get what we do or don't totally, or they're not completely on board with our paradigm. It's okay. It's okay for that to be the case, right? And so that I just think that that's an important point for us to recognize. And when, particularly when you're talking about pediatrics and behavioral learning and socialization challenges and mental health challenges, it's really important to recognize that we don't want to ostracize people because they have a team, right? Because a lot of these people and these kids, they do have a team. They have tutors, they have educators, they have OTs, they have speech therapists. It does not need to be us versus them. But when we can simply communicate what it is that we do by finding the commonality, leading with the brain, making the case for our tool as correcting subluxation, it becomes really clear why we should be the foundation, kind of the quarterback of the team to help the whole team get better results, right? And the neuroscience backs it up. If we look at the other professions, they're looking at writing books about, publishing research about the state of the nervous system, as opposed to this behavioralist standpoint that we've always lived in of like bad behavior, bad kid, struggling reader, deficit pathology. It's like, wait, let's look at the state of the nervous system. Let's look at some of the function of the nervous system. Let's look for clues as to where we are in development. That's where primitive reflexes and eye movements and all this stuff comes in. And other professions are looking at that, but that is what we own. We just need
Mhm.
to be able to understand it and communicate it. And then we can go into these relationships with other providers, finding that commonality, communicating, making the case, and then it becomes a really natural relationship. But they still have fear to refer to us. So that's where having a consistent community lecture allows them to make a really easy referral without feeling like they're on the hook for what happens after they make the referral. They
Mhm.
say, hey, Dr. Amy does some interesting work. I don't fully understand it, but I've seen a lot of kids get, have great results with it.
Mhm.
And I think she's, doing good work over there at her clinic, whatever. And so she has this community lecture. You might want to attend it. They pass that off to the parent to then say, okay, I'm going to go to this. And she has it every month. And if you can't go to the community lecture, she has the community lecture broken down into 5 short videos and they can email that to you. That's the thing. That brings it back around to, yes, people have a short attention span. They do not have time. They do not want to make time. It is not in there. In stress neurology, we don't see the future well, timing and planning. We have less top down prefrontal cortex. We're right here, right now. Give them something right here, right now. Right.
Mhm.
That's where we made these like short, and we teach doctors to make these like short little 5 videos. We have them where I broke down the community lecture in these like 5 little lessons, and we can send that to them right now. And they can watch that and then get the information. Then they can come to a community lecture if they want, and usually they do. But doing that community lecture and having those other options and providing that information to, how many times in your practices do we have like parents who will say like, oh, I wish that my neighbor knew about this and would come and so
Mhm.
I get her to come. You're like, hey, just bring her to a community lecture. And I find, or a parent who gets adjusted and the kid doesn't, instead of being like trying to convince them, you just say like, you know what? I have this lecture, this workshop I do about brain development, and I just find that like what people tell us is that just being a parent, it really is helpful to just get this information so that they can, gather some tools to be a more efficient parent,
Mhm.
helps in parenting. I'd love to invite you to come, and you might have some aha moments through it, and it might lead to a conversation later. It usually does.